Welcome back to the Dry Fast podcast and testimonial. Today is April 18th, Dry Fast day number 2, nighttime, Shabbat Shalom. Lord willing, I will reach a full 14 days. That's my intended goal. I am eternally grateful to Yahawah and Yahawashi for providing the inspiration and space in my life to do this, and also to be able to share this experience with you. My hope is that this is helpful to you in your walk and hopefully inspire others who may not have tried dry fasting yet to consider seeking our Lord's Yahawah and Yahawashi in this way. If you haven't dry fasted before, start slow, start with water fasts, start with shorter 1 to 3 day dry fasts to gauge how you react and how you feel. Every person will be different. I did several 1 day dry fasts before I did 3 days, and I built up from there. And in the very beginning, I water fasted, although I stopped doing water fast because I didn't find them as effective. They were easier, but not as effective. Now I will often use them as a tool to enter into a dry fast, but they are not the main focus. To be perfectly honest, the long-term dry fasting does have its difficult moments. You will see me go through these in subsequent podcasts. On one level, dry fasting, especially after 7 days, forces you to confront, resolve, and repent from wicked, negative emotions and past sins. It's really all kind of one and the same. Foolish thoughts are sin, that's Psalms 29, and eventually those thoughts of foolishness manifest themselves as sin, but that's a much deeper topic for another time. If your motivation and intentions are pure going into fasts, the Lord is merciful to help you and work with you to get you to the point where you need to be. Feeling wise, right now, I'm still on the low level crankiness vibe that I had this morning, a little bit less, as well as generally feeling drained yet restless at the same time. Working on this podcast was a little bit tough at moments, but I'm grateful that I completed it and I feel like this has given me a boost. I am somewhat thirsty now and have fleeting moments of feeling like wanting to maybe take a drink. This is to be expected. I think the inspiration for these thoughts is demonic at its core, but obviously it resonates with me on some level. As a side note, you can't blame demons for everything that happened. They can't really force a person to sin unless he or she previously consented in some way, even if that way of consent is not obvious. And beware, it could also have been in a previous life. And still, none of that is an excuse for sin or stopping a dry fast early. But that's a bit of an advanced topic. So just put that on a skyhook if you're new, or check out the podcast from this morning where I talk about it in a little bit more detail. Generally, these feelings, we'll call them, were most common within the first 3 days of my dry fasts, after which they start to fade away, and I get at least a few days of mental relief from them. I think this experience is fairly consistent among people who do extended dry fasts. If you struggle with those feelings, one way out of it is to start gratitude journaling and meditating. This will retard what can be a frequent barrage of negativity. Toxic emotions like these and others will only continue to poison you with the metabolic waste that results. You especially do not want this when the body is in the middle of metabolizing a pocket of deep-rooted toxic stagnation. I had this realization thrown in my face yesterday when I started to think condescending thoughts about another person. I suddenly started to sweat this stink from my armpits, and very similar chains of events have happened to me in the past to this effect. I believe right now I'm just more sensitive to it since my body is functioning more optimally from the dry fast, such that I can expel or have my liver more easily process the metabolic toxins from these negative emotions faster than usual. When I realized what was going on, I instantly or near instantly regretted it and repented. Part of that comes from having a cleaner body. I'm surprised that, personally, I'm surprised that contempt and condescension are so toxic. I didn't think it was that bad as what I experienced. It's a bit embarrassing for me to talk about it now, to be honest. It seems kind of silly and obvious, but that's my journey, and I've sinned a lot. So I am thankful to Yahawah for mercifully revealing this to me so that I know what to work on and I know what to repent from. I stepped on the scale and I'm 168 pounds now, which is 5 pounds less than the day before. This is 1 pound less than I predicted in the podcast this morning, but not totally out of line. When I started the prep work for the dry fast 5 days ago, I was about 190 pounds. When I started the dry fast 2 days ago, I was 180. So the weight is coming down. I don't think the difference is noticeable to others who see me yet, and I'm just wearing sweaters anyway. Let's talk about teeth. Long-term dry fasts have brought tremendous healing to my teeth in the past. After my body cleared out a lot of the acidic waste in the tissues of my mouth. Generally, now I do not brush my teeth. I'm talking about outside of dry fasting. I only floss once per day before bed. I might have brushed my teeth once per month. During a dry fast, I don't brush my teeth, period. I still floss sometimes, but water does not come anywhere near my mouth. Not to rinse, not for anything. I used to think the chalk film buildup on my teeth I would get was a bad thing. I'm not talking about plaque, which is also not a great sign, but I don't really get plaque anymore. So I experimented with leaving the chalky film on my teeth for several weeks. A lot of the stuff the Western Edomite medical system says is bad is good and good is bad. That's Isaiah 5, Job 13. For example, to quote a writer on CureZone.org, plaque in the arteries is a good thing, too. When the blood is too acidic and the acid begins scarring the interior walls of the blood vessels, cholesterol builds up and sticks to artery walls and protects them from the acid. High blood pressure is another life-saving strategy of the body. When the arteries become constricted, the heart must pump more pressure to bring the nutrients to the body parts and remove waste. The body is just trying to protect itself from being too acidic. That makes sense with me, and it fits with personal experience that I've had. My blood pressure does increase later on into dry fasts, but only at certain times and only when I can feel very toxic old shit being stirred up. And this also resonates with the research that I've done. After a few weeks of leaving the film on my teeth, I brushed my teeth for a few minutes and they were gleaming white, as if I had whitened them with a peroxide kit. One of the other pieces of hidden knowledge that makes all the difference that I've discovered is that I do not eat processed sugar. I don't even really eat any sugar, honey or agave syrup or whatever. I do not eat any grains, which includes corn and anything with wheat. I do not eat red meat, and I do not eat anything dairy. And recently, I haven't been eating really any fruit. Occasionally, I will, and lemons are a little bit different than most other fruit in terms of their nutritional content, so I do have lemons a fair amount. If I'm at someone's home or dining out with a group, I'm not going to make a big scene about this. You don't have to be a freak about it. If this is a diet that you want to follow, just eat less or say that you're vegetarian or vegan. Vegan can cause a little bit of a side eye, but going plant-based or saying I'm on a plant-based diet is okay from personal experience. I have built up to this point over years. So to make a sudden transition, if you are especially toxic internally, is probably not going to work for your teeth and other things, but really it's up to the Lord. When I first started getting heavy into detoxing, I was fruitarian and fruitarian juicing only at times. This has its merits, it has its time and place, but I do not recommend doing either of those things for more than a couple weeks tops. And I probably I probably will never do it again. I accomplished what I needed to, and I have reasons for not wanting to go back. Due to that diet being, number one, so quickly able to remove acidic waste, and two, having so much sugar, and three, lacking in necessary nutrients like soluble fiber, my teeth were literally eroding out of my mouth. I would brush my teeth with water and basically spit out white chalk. It was awful. At the time, I remember thinking, well, there goes my teeth. If the Lord wills it, let it be so. Matthew 19. But over time, and to my greatest pleasure, towards the end of the series of extended dry fasts I was doing, my gum line would raise up and my teeth would remineralize. And they seemed stronger and more brilliant than before. All I can say to that is praise and exalt the Lord above all forever. The areas of my teeth that give me the most problems correspond with my intestinal tract, which makes sense based on what I've explained before. While I don't use teeth analysis as much as I do, say, iridology, sclerology, and tongue analysis, it is another helpful tool, and I'll post some information on it below. On this new approach to dental care, my teeth do stain easily from various antiparasitic tinctures I occasionally take or tea I drink. So I try to drink it quickly. I don't savor it too much, and I rinse with water afterwards. However, the staining on my teeth does go away fairly quickly, even without brushing now. And of course, when I do brush, it's like, wow, shining white. So I am very grateful. Now, during this dry fast and others in the past, I have some light stabbing pains in my gut, especially when I woke up this morning. It comes and it goes. This is from the candida and whatever other fungus and mold has colonized my gut, probably more so the fungus. It's being disturbed and it's fighting against the dry fast that I'm doing. These pains are usually linked to the appearance or exacerbation of red veins in my eyes, which is also linked to liver stress. Undoubtedly, the two go hand in hand. And I talked a little bit about this phenomenon in the podcast this morning. I hope that sharing this experience has been helpful. I'm grateful to be able to share it with you, and I'm glad that you're listening. May the Lord bless you and help you in your walk. Thank you for joining me here on the Dry Fast podcast, and I look forward to speaking with you in the next one.